these conspiracy theories will send you down an absolute rabbit hole. So we've all been down the is Selena Gomez a clone? Is Selena Gomez secretly Gina Davis rabbit hole? I mean, it's been going on for months at this point, and I feel like literally everyone has talked about it, but I saw a TikTok that was a little bit interesting, and it kind of has a different perspective, and I think it makes a little bit more sense. I don't know if I believe it, but honestly, I can't believe I haven't realized this sooner, is that the real person who Selena Gomez looks exactly like now is Debby Ryan.
It's not Gina Davis. I just figured out who it is, okay? I've tried filming this 3 different times. 3 different times. Gina Davis is much too old to be playing Selena Gomez. If there is someone standing in for her, it's much more highly likely to me that it's Debby Ryan. It was this one picture of Selena. It was like a selfie from above, and she's like smirking, and I was like, who does she look like for the longest? Then I seen this picture with the red hair sticking out, and I was like, no, it's definitely that girl with the red hair with that same smirk on her face. And I just wasn't ever convinced that it could be a woman in her 70s. Like, yeah, that one clip, but the lighting could have been bad. It could have been an off day. You know what I'm saying? This is it's giving Debby Ryan. And you're not going to tell me that, I mean, they're both gorgeous in the same exact way. The features are the same. Like, she could absolutely smile like Selena and look just like her if she had black contacts and a black wig. And we'd all believe it. The same. It's not that other lady. It's Debby Ryan. If it's somebody else. And I've considered it could have been Hailey a couple times because they have the same like skinny fingers, but no. It's got to be Debby Ryan. Like, it just has to be Debby Ryan. If you can't see it, I can't help you. But it's not Gina Davis, it's Debby Ryan.
I honestly never realized how much they actually look alike until I saw this TikTok. And I agree with the one picture of Selena with her having red hair poking out from underneath. Bitch, that's Debby Ryan the whole time, Miss Disney. And it would make a little bit more sense as well, because they were both Disney actors. If Selena Gomez needed to be replaced, it would make sense to replace her with somebody who's closer to her age than Gina Davis. But I don't know, actually, I want to look up Debby Ryan's height. But let me hear your guys' thoughts, because I thought that this was like a fun addition to the conspiracy theory. And honestly, I think it's more believable than Gina Davis. But what do you think? All right, the next theory I want to talk about, something I've been seeing pop up all over TikTok lately, and it has to do with North West drawing a girl in a basement on the Kardashians. I don't know. Okay, so basically the consensus of the story, there have been multiple TikTokers at this point. Do you remember when on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, they showed one of North West's drawings and it was a girl, and North West said it was the girl in Kim's basement. And I vaguely remember this too. That's why I feel like this is weird, and it was completely scrubbed from the internet. Now, I found a few drawings that like are weird of North West, like for sure. She's an incredible little artist, but she has this really weird like Astro World looking drawing with like a snake tongue and fangs. That one is scary as hell. Why are you drawing that? And then when she was even younger, she had these really creepy drawings that looked like reptilians. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. It looks like the girl on the right literally has a reptile, like lizard tongue. And I'm like, where is she getting this from? You know, she was quite young at this point. So what the hell is that? And then I found a picture that people were referring to in regards to the basement, but I don't think this is the picture that they showed on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, because allegedly that episode was wiped and scraped from the internet. But this picture Kim posted herself on Instagram, and it's like a drawing of someone running around with their head cut off, and then a bunch of people underground look scared. I don't know what the fuck this is. It is a very weird thing for a child to draw. And I do think that usually when this happens and when children draw concerning things, it almost always gets brought to attention of the parents. I feel like if we've seen this happen, like if your kid is in school and they like draw something that like looks murderous, the teacher is going to tell your parents and be like, this is kind of weird that they did this, just letting you know. I don't know what it's about, but clearly this child's drawing something that she has seen before. So what the hell is up with this girl in the basement?
Do y'all remember that episode of the Kardashians that Kim K had a girl in her basement and North West drew her and they took that episode off air? I know I can't be the only one who fucking forgot this, okay? Let me know in the comments what y'all thinking if y'all remember that.
So there are lots of people in the comments who also remember this drawing as well. And again, I've seen several different TikTokers make basically the same TikTok at different points in time as well. Like not all within the same time frame. Like I don't think they were like trying to randomly get views about this. Like I think this is a legitimate thing that people remember. I want to hear your guys' thoughts though, but I think it is very important to pay attention to what children are drawing because again, they usually draw what they see around them. For example, even though the like astro head with the snake tongue thing is creepy as hell for a child to draw, it makes sense because Stormy has had several Astro World themed parties because Travis Scott is obviously her father. So it makes sense where North got that idea from. Where the hell is she getting the idea of lizard people? I don't like that one bit. And where's she getting the idea of a girl in a basement? Does Kim Kardashian have some girl trapped in her basement? That's what I want to know. And the drawing of like the person with their head cut off, like North, why'd you do that? Why'd you draw that? I just have a lot of questions and I think that that girl has probably seen a lot of stuff that she is maybe relaying in her drawings. And the fact that she's drawing lizard people is concerning to me. It is, because obviously we all know the conspiracy theories about lizard people in Hollywood. So is it really true? And has Northwest seen it herself? I don't know. But honestly, the concept of Kim Kardashian having a girl hostage in her basement kind of doesn't sound too crazy when you like have been paying attention to what's been going on with Kylie Jenner and her housekeepers recently. I think there is something weird going on here, okay?
Girl, Kylie Jenner was just sued by a second housekeeper, so let's talk about it. The housekeeper says she was bullied by her supervisor and no one did a damn thing about it. She says she was denied meal breaks, water, and even bathroom access. She reported to HR and the supervisor was put in another position, but then reinstated. Then things got even messier, honey. No pun intended. They retaliated with lowering her hourly wage, given unreasonable tasks, and then denied time off for her birthday because no one cares about your birthday. Kylie's having a dinner. First of all, fuck Kylie. Ooh, and then she even wrote Kylie a letter pretty much begging for help and put it on her massage bed right before she was scheduled to come in. It backfired. She was told to never contact Kylie again, not to drink any water at the house because it's Kylie's water, and to never even look or smile at her ever again. Kylie isn't accused of anything malicious, but she sure as hell didn't help, so she's a defendant in the lawsuit. The housekeeper ended up quitting. I don't know about you, but Kylie would have gotten her ass whooped, the supervisor, HR, Kris Jenner.
So obviously the Kardashian family have a ton of people working for them at 24/7 in their houses. It's interesting that there's this lawsuit coming up with now 2 housekeepers who have claimed horrible working conditions in Kylie Jenner's house. And then we have Northwest drawing some girl in the basement, being trapped in the basement. What the hell is going on over there? Again, people say the devil works hard, but Kris Jenner works harder. I don't know, but I do think there is something wrong with this picture overall. Not just the pictures that Northwest has drawn, but the picture of the Kardashians. All right, speaking of celebrity children, we're going to talk about Blue Ivy and maybe the idea of where she got her name from. And no, it's not born living under evil, Illuminati's very youngest, which is what people believe the anagram Blue Ivy stands for. But it actually has to do with a pop star that Jay-Z had a connection with named Blue Cantrell. So we've discussed the rabbit hole that is Aaliyah and Jay-Z, and people think that Jay-Z and Beyonce, or just Jay-Z in general, wanted to have Aaliyah and did have Aaliyah be murdered so that Beyonce's career would be successful. She wouldn't have anyone competing in a similar area to her because Aaliyah probably could have been such a huge pop star had it not been for her sad and terrible death. There are a lot of conspiracy theories around Aaliyah's death in general, but I do believe regardless it was a setup. I don't know if it was by Jay-Z because she rejected him. I don't know if it was by Jay-Z because he wanted to, you know, make Beyonce be the most famous pop star. I don't know what it is. I don't know who it is. I don't even know if Jay-Z was involved. All of this is alleged. But all I do know is Aaliyah did not want to get on that plane. She was carried onto that plane while she was asleep. So like they put her to sleep with drugs and brought her on that plane that she knew because the flight crew told her this plane is not going to be able to handle all of the luggage and people. We cannot take this small of a plane. And Aaliyah did not want to go on it and she refused. So they gave her a painkiller because she had a headache, but it was really a sleeping pill, made her fall asleep, and they brought her unconscious body onto that plane against her will. And obviously it's where she ended up dying. So it's just so fucked up all around. But again, kind of something similar here is the idea that Jay-Z tried to get rid of a different pop star, luckily not literally, because Blue is still alive, but allegedly maybe blackballing her and ruining her potential career.
But who I really want to talk to is Blue Cantrell. Jay-Z worked very hard to erase you and me, just like he did Elle, just like he did his relationship with R. Kelly, just like he did his relationship with Aaliyah. She was definitely blackballed, but she was blackballed for a reason. You made a choice to work with someone, and you probably didn't realize how nefarious he was when you got involved with him. I didn't. Blue, it's time to talk. It's time for you to sing again. Because I know you still got the chops. You got the gift, just like me. People need to know why you left. People need to know. Your fans deserve to know the truth about what sidelined you.
Like we finally know what happened to Blue Cantrell, the R&B sensation from the early 2000s, and allegedly it had something to do with the love triangle between her, Beyonce, and Jay-Z. Rumors have been swirling for some time that Beyonce orchestrated a plan to eliminate her competition, and Blue Cantrell might have been just one casualty in the saga. Plus, we know that Blue didn't just hold her own in the R&B scene. She also got pretty chummy with Jay-Z, especially when he was just starting to date Beyonce. But here's where it gets really creepy. One day, Blue was found wandering the streets of Santa Monica, claiming that someone poisoned her. So the million-dollar question is, did someone actually try to eliminate Blue, or did she suffer some kind of breakdown after being mistreated by the industry higher-ups? And did Beyonce and Jay-Z have a hand in all this? Let's break it down. You know how there's this ongoing chatter about Jay-Z and Beyonce possibly pulling some strings to clear their path to the top? The list of artists who allegedly fell victim to their alleged career sabotaging tactics is pretty extensive. But one name that tends to fly under the radar in these conspiracy talks is Blue Cantrell, Jay-Z's rumored ex. Back in the late 90s, Blue kicked off her career as a background vocalist for big shots like Diddy, and it wasn't long before L.A. Reid recognized her talent and offered her a contract. Fast forward to July 2001, and Blue drops her debut album, So Blue. The record not only won over the critics, but also made a splash in the commercial scene. Her album's leading track, Hit 'Em Up Style, Oops, not only snagged her 2 Grammy nominations, but also catapulted her into the spotlight. Things were looking up, and the upward trajectory continued into 2003 when she dropped her second album, Bittersweet. But here's where the plot thickens. In 2001, Blue found herself getting cozy with none other than Jay-Z, who had just started courting Beyonce. In the same period, Beyonce was busy carving out her solo career, and wouldn't you know it, in 2003, the same year Blue released Bittersweet, Beyonce's debut album, Dangerously in Love, hit the shelves. Rumor has it that this musical clash led to a heated rivalry between Beyonce and Blue, and that Beyonce wasn't just worried about Blue's rising success, but also had suspicions about her and Jay. But then came the infamous Wendy Williams interview. When asked if things ever went beyond friendship with Jay, instead of flat out denying it, Blue let out a nervous laugh and dodged the question.
Have you ever kissed Jay-Z romantically?
No. No, I can't answer that. I can't answer that.
Oh, she's touching him off the neck! Look! You see?
Why do people not want to let the Jay-Z Blue Cantrell thing go?
Wendy then floated the idea that Jay-Z might have shifted his attention to Beyonce over Blue because Blue just didn't fit the young and naive bill that Jay supposedly preferred, and Beyonce was probably more easily influenced and manipulated.
I said on the radio that I didn't think it would last, though.
What, me and him?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you're above 25.
Why, he needs somebody younger than that?
At the end of the day, yeah.
Why did you say that?
Because I think at the end of the day, a younger, less savvy to the ways of the world broad.
Somebody a little bit more naive.
You said it, not me.
But the drama didn't stop there. After Beyonce and Jay-Z dropped the music video for their 2003 collaboration, Bonnie and Clyde, things took a messy turn. Blue didn't hold back and publicly claimed that the video was suspiciously similar to the promo for her song Roundup, which, by the way, hit the scenes first. But this copycat business apparently wasn't a one-time thing. In November 2002, Blue released a collab with Sean Paul titled Breathe, and just a few months down the road, Beyonce dropped Baby Boy, featuring none other than Sean Paul. And remember how on Baby baby boy, Beyonce belts out the line, "Let me breathe." Coincidence? Maybe, but all these coincidences were brought up in a 2003 interview with The Guardian. Blue laid it straight, saying, "I'm an adult, she's younger, and if she's doing what you're saying, then she's being a little immature." But Blue didn't stop there. She also threw a warning Beyonce's way, saying, "Maybe she's trying to do it to get press, but I want to make her understand. If she goes there with me, it's the wrong move. She needs to understand what she's doing and what she's getting into." And when asked if she thinks Beyonce was throwing some subliminal shots at her, Blue said, "If she is being negative, she doesn't need to be, because she's a beautiful girl. But if you have issues with your man, address it with the guy, don't take it out on the girl." It seems like Blue was hinting that Beyonce might have felt a bit threatened because Jay-Z still had some lingering feelings for her. Wait till you hear what happened to Blue after she openly threatened Beyonce. Fast forward to September 2014, and Blue was found by the police wandering the streets of Santa Monica at 2 a.m. screaming about someone poisoning her with gas. According to TMZ, the episode went on long enough that someone called police, and Blue was then taken to a nearby hospital for an evaluation. In the meantime, Blue also got dropped from her label, and since then, it's been a rough ride for her. Rejection after rejection from record labels. Back in 2013, she was optimistic, claiming to work independently on her third studio album. But fast forward to today, and that album is still MIA. So did Beyonce and Jay-Z really pull some strings behind the scenes, orchestrating Blue's sudden exit from the spotlight? Well, it's a question that quite a few industry figures are tossing around.
So I find this to be incredibly interesting for a couple of reasons. So for one, I think that it is very classic, something Beyonce and Jay-Z have been accused of doing in the past in regards to like kind of stepping on other people's careers so that Beyonce's could be lifted up. And I don't know if I necessarily believe the conspiracy, but I do think that it is weird as hell that she goes on speaking kind of against Beyonce and Jay-Z and being like, hey, like, I don't need to act like a child, like whatever. And then all of a sudden she turns up in Santa Monica poisoned by gas. And I thought that this was interesting as well. And you know, maybe it's a stretch. I think it's a little weird that they decided to name their daughter Blue. And what is her name? It's Blue Ivy. Poison Ivy? I don't know. It's maybe a stretch because Blue Ivy was born before Blue Cantrell was poisoned, but I do find it to be an interesting coincidence, and I think it's incredibly strange that they ended up naming her Blue. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this though, because this is not something that I have heard about before. I think because Aaliyah tragically died, it is a lot less popular to talk about different people who may have been like stepped on or had their careers ruined by Jay-Z in order to boost Beyonce. And I think it's kind of an interesting conspiracy theory overall, and I really want to hear your thoughts on this, and if you think there are any other female artists from the early 2000s who could have had a breakout career, but maybe Beyonce got involved, or Jay-Z, I don't know. And I gotta say, I think Wendy Williams absolutely clocked Jay-Z to a damn T. Was saying that Blue Cantrell was like too old for him. Then he wanted someone younger that he could manipulate, and that was Beyonce, and still is to this day. So let me know your guys' thoughts, because I don't like the way that things are fitting in this puzzle piece, okay? All right, the next rabbit hole I want to go down has to do with Clive Davis. We talked about Clive Davis before a couple of times. He was essentially P. Diddy's mentor. Like, people think that what P. Diddy did to Usher and what Usher did to Justin Bieber, P. Diddy had done to him by Clive Davis, if that makes sense. Like, Clive Davis is the OG, people think, evil music producer that was doing some very dark, nefarious things. And we got a TikTok that actually kind of corroborates that whole narrative that maybe Clive Davis really needs to be looked into. And it has to do with the foster care system in Los Angeles, and I think that this is incredibly dark, and I bet a lot more people have similar stories with maybe different names that we hear every day, and I don't like that at all. It's very concerning.
Story time about how I got sold to the highest bidders in a foster home in LA at the age of 11. Let's get into it. So at the age of 11, I lived in this foster home in LA, and they basically worked behind the scenes with a lot of like famous people, okay? And they would have us play dress up and stuff like that for these people, you know, and do like weird, freaky, weird, crazy stuff, okay? Clive Davis was one of the biggest clientels that they had. He would come through frequently like crabs at a whorehouse, baby, okay? Clive Davis loved me for some reason when I was a kid, and also a few other little black boys, and he would love for me to always play as the red fucking queen, y'all. Like, I don't know why. I have no clue. Even as an adult, like, I'm still flabbergasted that, like, a little boy would have to play the red queen. But Clive Davis would have us not only sit on his lap, but yeah, Clive Davis, you know exactly what the fuck you were doing to us kids up in that foster home. You know what you were doing to me as a child. I can't name these things, obviously, because TikTok is going to ban me, and I hope they don't get rid of this video. It's not like any justice is going to be brought anyway. But yeah, that's me having to play the Red Queen as a child.
It's concerning that seeing something like this about Clive Davis does not surprise me whatsoever, but it is maybe a lot worse than we thought. I think a lot of it was conspiracy, and people just assumed a lot of dark things were happening around Clive Davis, and people really have been talking about how he is the evil mastermind behind P. Diddy. Now, I think that this makes a lot more sense and shows a darker side to Hollywood that kind of connects as well to Jeffrey Epstein, and Clive Davis is mentioned several times throughout the Epstein files. So it's honestly gotten to the point where clearly something here was happening, and a lot of people were turning a blind eye to what was happening, unfortunately, and I think that that is incredibly fucked up. But nonetheless, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I think Clive Davis could literally have a whole deep dive video on his own because of his connection with Whitney Houston as well. If you didn't know, he was the one who found Whitney Houston, and also the day that Whitney Houston died, while her body was still upstairs in the Beverly Hilton Hotel, Clive Davis still proceeded to have a Grammys party, kind of like in her honor, but like literally the day that she died. You think that somebody who has known Whitney Houston since she was a kid would want to cancel a party that they had planned because they just found out that she died. It just is so sick and twisted to me. I think he is someone who really needs to be heavily looked into, but let me know your guys' thoughts. All right, speaking of the like kind of Epstein network and this elite network of people doing disturbing things to children in Hollywood, there's somebody that I think not enough people talk about when it comes to this topic, and that is Mark Salling from Glee. So Mark Salling, obviously, I feel like we all know at this point, was arrested for distribution and having CP, I believe. And what's weird about his death is that he was set to testify and name a shit ton of names. He was prepared to really go in and give every single name of people who either bought CP or had distributed, whatever. He apparently had a lot of names in the industry, and then suddenly he took his own life. And a lot of people believe that maybe that actually isn't true, and maybe he was taken out because he was trying to expose even more people, similar to kind of Jeffrey Epstein. If Jeffrey Epstein actually did die, I don't think anyone believes he took his own life, and people believe that, you know, they were trying to shut him up, because obviously when you come forward with more people and more information about other cases and other people doing similar things, it would make their sentencing less. Like, I think Mark Salling at that point was like not even gonna go to jail for like that long. I think it was like 4 years or something. Yeah, Mark Salling was expected to serve 4 to 7 years in federal prison as part of the plea deal after pleading guilty, and also he was going to name a lot of names, which probably would have gotten him a lesser sentence, but he died just ahead of his trial. And I don't think enough people ask questions about this, because who the hell was he trying to expose? There was a blind item that released in 2016. This was before Mark Salling died. They wrote, "You may have forgotten, heck, with everything going on in the world, chances are you have forgotten. This former network actor keeps having his trial postponed because he keeps naming names. The network actor should go to jail forever, but the way he is giving up names, chances are he will get the minimum. So far, he has named at least one other person from his network show who was involved in the same type of activities. Apparently, he has also named this former tweener turned adult actor and a mostly movie actor turned host. There are others too, but so far, these are the only ones that have leaked or are someone you could realistically guess." And again, this is written about Mark Salling, and we don't know who he was trying to expose. There's a lot of conspiracy. Obviously, I'm not gonna like throw around specific, these are horrible allegations, but this Crazy Days and Nights blind item is claiming that he was working with somebody on Glee that also was involved in these activities. A lot of people point fingers at like Ryan Murphy because they think he's just weird in general in regards to his TV shows and film. Obviously, like, I'm not gonna say that that's true or false or whatever, because I don't know, but what I do know is this is true to an extent at least. Mark Salling's trial kept getting postponed because he was naming names, and it kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and then ultimately just before the trial was supposed to happen, he took his own life. And I'm starting to believe that maybe he didn't, and maybe someone else took it for him. You know, whatever, like, it's like Epstein being dead. Like, good, but also like if they were going to expose the other people first, let's see the list. Let's know who is a part of this disgusting network. And I truly do think that not enough people talk about Mark Salling in this case, probably because he's not as big of a celebrity. And I don't think a lot of people knew that he was naming names like this. I think people just thought that he got caught and that was it. But apparently he was naming other names in the industry and was excited for his trial, ready to tell the truth, ready to talk about people who were also involved with this disgusting behavior, and ultimately he never got to, and we still don't know to this day what names he had named, and I find that to be concerning, but let me know your thoughts. All right, the next rabbit hole I've been absolutely falling down lately has to do with specifically Amy Eskridge, but it is the whole concept of the missing slash dead scientists that are all like connected to each other and all worked for like kind of the government. These are a lot of conspiracy theories. I think it's now like 13 missing scientists. We've talked about it before, but Amy Eskridge is one that I find incredibly interesting because she specifically was saying that she was being watched and being drugged before her death. And she said multiple times she would never take her own life. And then she was found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to her head. So I don't know. I think this is one of the most damning cases of the missing scientist because we have evidence of her talking about being afraid of being killed or being threatened.
So I don't go to bars by myself anymore, even though it's my most productive zone. Because in the past 12 months, if I sit down at a bar by myself, some dude will come, like some 50-year-old dude will come and sit next to me and turn to me and say, do you want one roofie in your drink or two? Twice now, three times. It's like, I'm really fucking drunk. I shouldn't be this drunk. I didn't drink enough to be this drunk. What's happening? What's happening? Why am I so messed up? And then all of a sudden the people at the bar around me are like, what do you do for a living? Tell us, do you work for the government? What do you do? You're sitting there at your laptop. It looks cool. Tell us what you're doing. And I'm like, hey, you didn't ask me that until I suddenly was disoriented. Until I came back from the bathroom, finished my beer, and was disoriented and super fucking more drunk than I should have been.
So Amy Eskridge was studying a lot of anti-gravity concepts that a lot of people think that the government decided to take her out because they didn't want her research to be exposed because it would basically make a lot of things collapse. There was a lot of stuff with like free energy and so many amazing things that Amy was discovering in her research that if it got out, it would completely change the world essentially and how the world works. But to me, it's so clear that something was going on here that I don't know what else to say.
Guys, new footage is now starting to surface of the scientist that was researching anti-gravity. She's in a complete panic in the video, saying that she was being hit by some kind of energy weapon and she has the burns on her body to prove it. Her name was Amy Eskridge, and she wasn't just working on free energy, she was actually trying to research how to manipulate gravity itself. She claimed that this has been discovered 4 different times, and every single time it was covered up before it could go public. In the video, she's working on a computer that isn't even connected to the internet. She says that somebody is scanning what she's typing through the window, and it's burning her hands while she's typing.
My hands still burn because there's damage, but it's like my body relaxed when we barricaded the shit. And it was like, oh, like relief, like immediately.
Whenever she went to block the window, she said that the burning stopped immediately and there was an outline of her body left on the glass. You can literally see her posture in the window as if it was an x-ray. A former CIA weapons expert on her team identified the exact device, and he said that it was powered by car batteries inside of a vehicle that was parked outside of her home. And actually, for 4 to 5 years straight, she reported multiple different times that an Eastern European man in a Lexus had been parked outside of her house watching her. Amy Eskridge is the woman that texted her friend and said that if they say that I did this to myself, I did not, and then they ruled it as self-inflicted. She predicted exactly what they would say. They said it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of the most interesting cases of the missing and dead scientists that we've seen, because this girl has literally multiple times said, these people are watching me, these people are going to kill me, I'm not gonna take my own life, etc. And it seemed like she was an incredibly brilliant person, and it is very sad. And of course now her research is gone, nowhere to be found. And what's scary to me is that it seems like her family is like complying with this concept, which probably because they are scared and and now that they know what maybe allegedly the government is capable of, they know that they would just kill them too, or something worse, or who knows. So I think it would be such a frustrating thing to have this happen to like someone in your family or your friend, and no one is really speaking out for you because they are scared themselves. It's like understandable, but also it sucks. They must be excited that at least the world and TikTok is talking about it now, and that is getting eyes on the conspiracy theory, and obviously the government can't control everyone. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this, because I think that the more I find out about Amy Eskridge, the more I believe the whole conspiracy theory. I don't even think it's a conspiracy theory at this point. I don't think she took her own life at all. But let me know your guys' thoughts. And R.I.P. Amy. I feel like that is so sad and so upsetting that she had this brilliant research of free energy and amazing things that would change the world for the better, but it wouldn't be good for a lot of the, like, you know, companies. And it's all just so sad to see that play out the way that it did. But I really want to hear your guys' thoughts. So speaking of the missing scientist, somebody who passed away in 2001, not related to a scientist, but her parents have now come forward talking about how she maybe had some information about UFOs, that maybe that is why she was murdered. And this is the killing of Chandra Levy. So Chandra was a 24-year-old girl who was young, ambitious. She was living in Washington, D.C., and she was interning with the Federal Bureau of Prisons, but she was from Modesto, California. She was actually getting ready to finish her master's degree at USC. Her internship in DC was ending, and her life was supposed to move on to the next chapter. But then on May 1st of 2001, she completely vanished. So this wasn't just a suspicious missing persons case. It was actually very sensationalized because Chandra had allegedly been romantically involved with Congressman Gary Condit, who was a married congressman from California. So more than a year after her disappearance on May 22nd of 2002, Chandra's skeletal remains were found in Rock Creek Park. Now, a lot of people were questioning Gary Condit, the congressman, but ultimately he was cleared as a suspect. Years later, investigators actually focused on a man named Ingmar Gwandig, who had attacked 2 other women in Rock Creek Park around the same time that Chandra disappeared. He was charged with her murder in 2009 and convicted with her murder in 2010. Now, for a moment, it looked like the case was solved, looked like, you know, done deal, whatever, but there was actually no forensic evidence or eyewitness evidence that directly linked him to Chandra's murder, and the prosecution relied heavily on a jailhouse informant that said that this guy confessed to killing Chandra. But years later, in 2016, that started to be questioned, the validity, the credibility of the witness in the jailhouse. And so this guy was granted a new trial, and prosecutors eventually ended up dropping the charges, and he was deported to El Salvador. So that is maybe not Chandra's actual killer. Now, her parents over 20 years later are asking questions about maybe Chandra just actually knew too much.
At that time, Chandra mentioned something that she knew about the UFOs, that Congressman Condit was on the committee to learn about UFOs.
Well, he's on the Central Higher Intelligence Committee,
yes.
And that she says, oh, he believes in UFOs like I do, and that he deals with this stuff. So then it left me thinking, knowing Chandra, she's very inquisitive. Could she have known something that she wasn't supposed to know? And
yes.
Could she have been wiped out because she knew too much?
So I do think it's really interesting that her parents bring up this point, and I honestly think it could be true. Maybe they are onto something here, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts, because this is obviously a very old case, and it's a closed case, which is frustrating because technically it's unsolved, but they're not really looking into the case any further. And I think once her parents started hearing these theories about these missing and dead scientists turning up everywhere, this kind of sparked that memory in them that, you know, she was talking to the congressman about UFOs. Definitely makes an interesting story and an interesting conspiracy theory, but let me know your thoughts. Speaking of UFOs, Obama has went on to talk about aliens yet again, which is just fun.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. Government is terrible at keeping secrets. This idea of conspiracy theories, if there were aliens or alien spaceships or anything under the control of the United States government that we knew about, seen, photographs, what have you, I promise you, some guy guarding the installation would have taken a selfie with one of the aliens and sent it to his girlfriend to impress him. It would leak.
Or there'd be like hints. There'd be like certain hints out there, like a presidential center would look like a scout ship that's just come down from low orbit and landed in Chicago. That would happen, something like that.
It could happen.
Okay.
And
do you wish they were real?
I actually do. All right, I'm putting in a plug now.
Okay.
First Contact. I think I would be a good emissary for the planet.
You represent me.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a diverse background, some experience in statecraft and diplomacy. I'm friendly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I actually think, I could do a pretty good job. All right.
That's a good pitch.
Yeah.
We will keep that in mind. Thank you so much.
But it hasn't happened yet.
Okay, great.
All right.
And we have your phone number here on the resume. Thank you so much.
I just think it's funny how Obama went on the air saying that aliens were real at first, and then he kind of is a little bit backtracking on his words. I get what he's saying, though. I do agree to an extent that I think that the US government would definitely have to keep this information so classified. It would be nuts. Like, I don't think that the sitting president would even be aware of aliens if there were any, if they had any contact with them, because sitting president's only gonna be president for max up to 8 years. Do you really think Donald Trump would keep his mouth shut about fucking anything? Well, actually he kind of does, so I don't know. It's a little dicey, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I thought it was an interesting update. All right, the next theory I want to talk about has to do with this teenager in France who woke up from a 3-week coma, believing that she was in an alternate life for 7 years, raising children, and now she needs therapy to deal with the grief that she has. So this girl is 19-year-old Aaliyah Verde, and she basically claims that while she was in a coma, she lived an entirely different life. Met a husband, got married, had children, and now she needs to grieve this life that didn't actually happen, or did it? This kind of brings up the concept of quantum reality, which is people believing that there are alternate universes. I think that it kind of explains the Mandela effects. Also, if you're into Mandela effects, I'm low-key doing them exclusively on my members only page, so if you want to check that out, you can. I just added a new tier as well, so check that out if you feel like becoming a member. It's like my close friend story, honestly. I love it. Anyway, so the concept of parallel universes is nothing new, but this is something that has always freaked me out. I've always been so scared of the idea of like waking up from a coma, but like not actually like my life now, waking up and like all of this was a dream. This concept has always freaked me out. I think that this is a popular conspiracy theory as to something that could be going on. Are there alternate universes where you are living out your life in a completely different way? I don't know, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I'll tell you that. It's not my favorite conspiracy theory because it really freaks me out, okay? I think about this all the time. I've been thinking about this since I was a child, actually. Believe it or not. I think when I was like 10, I remember being like, what if I just woke up one day and it was 2001 again and I had to like go stop 9/11, you know? That has been something I've been worried about for a very long time. And there are so many anecdotes like this of this quantum reality happening where people have lived experiences in other universes while they were asleep. They could be asleep, but it really felt like they were living a different life for 10 years. I can't. It's actually freaking me out a little too much, that rabbit hole. I don't know if we could go fully down it because I'm scared, but let me know if you guys have any personal stories because I'm gonna read them. All right, so obviously the Hantavirus is an absolute trending conspiracy theory at this point. I think people have had a lot of conspiracy theories regarding this cruise ship and kind of the question of like, why is there only like one person vlogging this experience? I do agree that that's a little weird. But a lot of people have been pointing out how the Simpsons actually predicted this to happen. lot of different things. I think this is a pretty common conspiracy theory, but something that I find interesting here is actually the Simpsons creator, Matt Groening, his connection with Jeffrey Epstein and the elites, because was he really predicting things, or was he just showing things that he knew was going to happen based on being involved in that inner circle? And I think that not enough people talk about his history with Jeffrey Epstein, because Virginia Giuffre is actually someone who commented about him, basically claiming like, oh, he was like a nice guy, he wasn't weird or anything, but like she gave him a foot massage on Jeffrey's private jet. You receiving, like Matt Groening, you receiving a foot massage from a 16-year-old is weird. That is the weird part of it. So like, I understand she was saying like he, you know, didn't do anything specifically to her, but like the fact that he was even involved in that shit is very, very questionable. And I think I just have a lot of questions about The Simpsons in general, especially like Nancy Cartwright, the voice actor and aunt of Sabrina Carpenter, being a devout Scientologist. I have questions about that too. Miss Bart Simpson, what the fuck? Anyway, I saw this interesting conspiracy theory that has to do with this cruise being a distraction for what's going on with the Disney Cruise Line, which if you haven't heard, it is some very, very dark shit. And we're going to talk about that connection to Epstein as well.
The Disney cruise ship child trafficking ring is so much deeper than you think. If you haven't heard, a Disney cruise ship was raided in a massive child exploitation sting and 10 Disney employees were arrested. But it is so much deeper than that. Let's start in 2022. Disney employees and former judge among 108 arrested in human trafficking sting. That must be a coincidence though, right? 2021, parents sue Disney Cruise Line for $20 million over alleged essay of 3-year-old daughter. 2019, Disney cruise worker charged with 13-year-old girl. 2014, Disney Cruise Line fails to promptly report essay of 11-year-old girl. This has happened so many times that when the news reports arrests, they just say another Disney Cruise Line worker arrested. But there's no way that the same company with ties to Epstein could possibly be running some kind of child trafficking ring, right? That has to just be a crazy coincidence, right? I don't know, I could be wrong, but unfortunately, I don't think I am.
So I find this to be incredibly interesting when it comes to Epstein as well. And people think in general, like this connecting to Hantavirus, because the case about something on a cruise ship right now people are talking about is Hantavirus. Not necessarily these Disney cruises, but I don't know if I believe that part of the conspiracy theory, but what I do believe is that Disney definitely has some explaining to do, especially when it comes to their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And I've been saying this for a while because I think it's a little bit strange how a convicted predator, a child predator, was able to get into and also had special access to Disneyland. That's not right to me. I don't feel like that should be right to anyone. I don't think it makes sense why Jeffrey Epstein was allowed to go into Disney after his 2008 conviction. That's crazy. But not only was he allowed in, he claims to have had special access. So there's honestly a lot of emails regarding Disney in the files, including like just various ones saying call Disney, which, what is that about? The company itself, or is it about a Disney, like someone who is related to the Disney family? That's up for debate, I guess. And that's in 2018, so obviously way after Jeffrey was convicted. And then this email thread happened in 2013, where he was messaging someone named Lawrence Krauss about Disneyland, saying, quote, "Hi Jeffrey, should we prepare a seating card for your guest with name on it? Please send if yes. I have to let them know by the 18th on details. Since I can't get extra Disney tickets sent here for your guests, too late for that. We can get it when we are there. I won't be able to link her ticket to ours as I will do for yours, so I can reserve 1 or 2 rides, but that is the only negative." And then Jeffrey Epstein responded to this saying, "I have special access, don't worry." To which the person says, "Why am I not surprised?" Smiley face. Girl, you should be surprised that a convicted predator has special access to Disney. I don't understand where the non-surprise is happening there. This is in 2013, almost 2014, December 2013. So what the fuck is going on here? That's what I want to know. And I do think that Disney has some explaining to do regarding this. And there are so many different dark conspiracy theories about Disney as a whole, even Disney actors. People think that like different stars like Britney Spears, Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato kind of like staged like an acting out phase in their lives so that they would break their contracts from Disney because Disney's confines were just so, they had a grip on them. I don't know if that's true, but I do think it's weird, and I do think that it's weird that Epstein's connected in all of this. And clearly there were some workers that Disney has tried to sweep under the rug that being involved with some similar situations, and I think ultimately, at the end of the day, there really is no excuse for having Jeffrey Epstein have special access to Disney. I don't know if they can legally like be like, you can't come here. I really don't know the rules on that. I would assume that a S offender wouldn't be allowed to go to Disneyland or a theme park with a bunch of children, but I don't know like what rules and regulations are, but I definitely know they should be having special access to it. That's all I would say. That's it. I don't know, but let me know your guys' thoughts. Also, this video is getting long, and I know a lot of you guys like smaller clips, so I do have a clips channel that kind of breaks down each conspiracy theory and puts it in a little clip form. So if you have TikTok brain, girl, head over there because I get it. My attention span has not been the same since, okay? Anyway, that is it for today's video. If you guys liked it, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below what conspiracy theory rabbit holes you've been going down lately. I want to hear all the rabbit holes that have been absolutely freaking you out, but that is it. Make sure you follow me on TikTok and Instagram and subscribe for new videos every week, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.